welcome back to another edition of the Don't Argue. All thanks to our friends at Palmerbet. Download that Palmerbet app and get involved. And you too can look like the great man Kirk Gidley, who fair dinkum makes me look like an absolute busted thong, I reckon, because you are ripping that shirt and I've got the man boobs happening, I reckon, here, kids.
Mate, I think the 2024 edition must be arriving in the mail soon from the Palmerbet boys, so
I think
I'm sure it's about to arrive at any stage. I'm looking forward to it, actually. I did like the sky blue edition last year.
Yeah, baby blue looks a little bit better than the white. I think the white shows every little crevice for the big boy. Hey, listen, mate, tough weekend last weekend. I went 2 from 6. I'm 2 from 8 for the season, mate, to be honest. I picked the Storm and the Eels. You got the Storm, Eels, and the Dragons. But other than that, she was slim pickings for us, kids.
Yeah, it is, mate. Yeah, look, made a lot of upsets. I think if you had a good round last week, you're either got no idea about footy or you just took the upset. So even the Vegas rounds, both Manly and the Roosters, they were outsiders for those couple of games. And then as we seen last week, Canberra beat the Knights, Sharks beat the Warriors over in New Zealand. What else? The Dragons got up.
Yeah.
Storm got up over the Panthers.
Yeah.
So some real upsets, which is good to start the year, but it's hard to pick.
I reckon, kids, if you go back 12 months, the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season last year were exactly the same, weren't they? It was nearly impossible to pick. I think, we were discussing it, saying, if you're leading your footy tipping, you're absolutely smashing it, to be honest, because it was so hard. And your kids get on last week, Warriors Sharks, of course, you had Warriors 13 plus, Dylan Watine Zelniak, anytime try scorer, North from 2, mate. My Matty's must have. Storm 1 to 12. I did hit that, but Pappenhausen anytime try scorer and Nathan Cleary, of course, was a low scoring affair, 8 zip. So there wasn't a lot of scoring action. So anyway,
fair to say, mate, fair failure for you and I in the tips and the Gids get on and the Matty's best bets.
Mate, it's a new week. We are just putting. Where's that little red pen of yours, mate? Just pull it up.
Here it is. There it is, buddy.
You don't leave home without the red pen, mate.
Mate, goes straight in the business shirt in the morning and doesn't come off until bedtime. Sometimes it doesn't come off the sack as well.
Wouldn't your staff just hate seeing you rock in with the red pen? They'd be thinking, oh, hang on, someone's gone here. We're in trouble. Yeah. Right, let's have a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly for round number 1. The good we're going to start with, mate, the underdogs getting up, and we're talking about the Dragons. That was a good win against the Titans and also the Storm. I reckon that was a big one too. I think it's 23 years in a row to win that round 1 clash. That is enormous, kids.
Mate, unbelievable. Craig Bellamy, what a coach. I think he's the best coach in the history of the game, I believe. I've been coached by him, but that statistic is amazing, unbelievable, especially going up against, the last premiership team that's won the last few years. So a huge game. I thought they defended really strong. Penrith struggled to score points in their last 3 halves. But I think they'll improve this week. But, a great statistic for the Melbourne Storm, Craig Bellamy. And Dragons, big win against the Titans. I did tip the Dragons. I liked what I've seen in their trial games and a little bit what I've read from Flano and Ben Hunt and Moses Sully. I like the way he played in the trial game. So I just thought they might be turning a corner there.
Yeah, you're all over it, mate. Absolutely. Hey, the bad, you're going to hate this, kids, but the blowtorch on the Knights all of a sudden, massive crowd, packed stadium, and let's be honest, kids, they didn't fire a shot, did they?
No, it was underwhelming, Matty, that's for sure. There was a huge build-up. I mean, the build-up came right through the off-season, to be honest. So, on the back of the 10 wins last year, the first home semi-final since 2006. So there was a lot of optimism and expectation, which is fair enough. I mean, as a player, the only expectation is the one of yourself and your playing group and the goals that you set. But it was very underwhelming, unfortunately. Big crowd on a Thursday night, and unfortunately, the Raiders come here. They played gritty. They completed their sets. I think we completed at 68%. So the Newcastle Knights need to get into the arm wrestle and be comfortable at this early stage of the year. High completions, stay in the arm wrestle, and wait for the other team to make a mistake. And I thought the Raiders did that. They competed on their last plays really competitively. I think they scored 3 or 4 on their last tackles. And And when you're competing on those type of plays, a little bit of luck goes your way, and it did for them too.
Absolutely, it did, mate. Let's get to the ugly now. Canterbury Bulldogs, mate, they're in no man's land. Big off season. They had some new signings, all that kind of stuff, but they were just off the pace against the Eels, weren't they, mate?
Yeah, for sure. I thought the Eels certainly played a great attacking game. They defended well, but again, I think I spoke about it last week going into this game. The Dogs they struggled defensively last year. They were leaking way too many points, and all the top teams in the top 4, top 2, they're there for a reason. It's because they minimise the amount of points that's scored against them every week. And I know I'm taking a stab in the dark, but I think most quality teams are always trying to minimise the opposition to that 14, 12, 10 points. That's a good record if you can keep them at sort of that 10 to 12 points, because you're always in the contest. And those teams there at the end of the season, they've always got the best defensive record. So Dogs need to start with that one, I think.
Yeah, beautifully done, mate. That's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's get to round 2 action, kids. This is where we bounce back. This is where we start to come to the fore, mate.
Good talk.
And absolutely, mate. We've had a good talking to. The team at Palmerbet sat us down, said, listen, lift your game. But I'm tipping the Palmerbet boys would have been rubbing their hands together last week, because there was a few upsets. Will it continue into round 2? Let's start off with the Broncos taking the Rabbitohs. Thursday night footy, 8 p.m, Suncorp Stadium. Head-to-head, the Broncos, $1.40. Rabbitohs, $2.95 at the line. The Broncos minus $8.5, $1.99. Rabbitohs plus $8.5, $1.82. Now, the key talking points, kids. The Bronx looking to avoid 2 straight losses to start the season since 1999. They've only done it 3 times in their history. Rabbitohs, if you go back to last season, including the last few games, they've lost 7 of their last 10 games. That is not a good stat. Yeah. It's a happy hunting ground. The Bunnies went 3 for 3 at Suncorp Stadium last year. That was wins over the Broncos and the Storm. So they're not going to be frightened taking on the Broncos at Suncorp Stadium. How do you see this one playing out, kids?
Yeah, mate, funny you say that last statistic, happy hunting ground for the Bunnies at Suncorp. I remember speaking about a big game where the Bunnies were going to Suncorp last year, and both teams were travelling pretty well at that stage, the Broncos and the Bunnies. And the Bunnies beat them in that game. I forget what round it was, but I specifically remember talking about that game.
Yeah, it was being a huge one.
Yep. But, the statistic there that the Broncos haven't lost 2 straight losses to start the season since 99, that's a pretty amazing stat in itself, So I'm not sure if the players will be aware of that or whether it's on their radar, and you certainly don't want to be complacent around that. That's just going to continue that statistic there. I thought the Broncos, a little bit, they struggled attack-wise in that Vegas game. Bunnies, again, a little bit underwhelming there last week. I think the Bunnies with 8.5 start paying, $1.82 on the Palmerbet app that I can see at the moment is pretty attractive. And I think it's going to be a good battle. I still think the Broncos can win head-to-head, but I do like that 8.5 start for the Bunnies.
They'll bounce back, the Broncos, mate. I love them. They're my second team. And, they a little mishap over in Vegas, but I reckon the Roosters might be strong this year. So, I'm happy to stick with the Broncos to get the job done Thursday night footy. Let's get a Friday night footy. It's the Sharks taking on the Canterbury Bulldogs. 6 p.m. at Shark Park. Head-to-head, the Sharks $1.32. Bulldogs at $3.40 at the line. The Sharks minus $8.5, $1.90. Bulldogs plus $8.5, $1.89. Key talking points here, kids, all thanks to Palmerbet. The Sharks had a great win on the road against the New Zealand Warriors. Not an easy road trip, we know that. And they've beaten the Dogs 11 out of their last 13 games. All right, that is huge. Bulldogs, we just touched on them before. Another slow start to the season. They lose Josh Addo-Carr. That is huge. And this is a big one. Not a fun road trip for the Dogs either. They've not won at Shark Park since 2011, Gids.
Yeah,
that's not a good stat.
It's a funny place, Shark Park. It's either windy, it's not as inviting from a dressing room point of view. You're warming up out in the back sort of field area, and it's a pretty unhappy place to go if you haven't got the right headspace. Yeah, mate. That's why the Sharks love it, and certainly their fans love it, because it's not as glamorous place to travel to. But as a player, it shouldn't matter from a mentality point of view, whether it's windy, rainy, sunny. whether you're playing at the best ground in Australia or on the moon. That's where you got to overcome those mental battles. I thought the Sharks were great in that Warriors game over in New Zealand last week. They showed a heap of grit to get through the attack and the pressure that the Warriors put on them over in New Zealand, and they were able to maintain strong defence and turn that game around to win. So I thought it was a huge win for the Sharks. I reckon a real shot of confidence flying back from New Zealand, getting those 2 points. So I'm definitely on the Sharks here. I think it's some really good value. Sharks -8.5 for almost even money.
Beautiful, mate. I'm with the Sharks too. I reckon they're an absolute moral. I don't like using that M word, but I just think that they'll get the job done against a very disappointing Bulldogs, and their stats don't lie either. So they're up against it. Hey, talking about stats, this is interesting. Panthers Eels. This is Friday night footy, 8 p.m. Panthers Stadium. Head to head, the Panthers $1.39. Eels are at $3. At the line, the Panthers -7.5 $1.90. Eels +7.5 $1.90. Key talking points here. So the Panthers, obviously the World Club Challenge, lost that, went down to Melbourne Storm, lost that, pretty scrappy, low-scoring affair. They're looking to avoid 2 straight losses to start a season since 2016. Eels coming off the back of an impressive victory. I don't know, we're not really pumping Canterbury up. But this is the interesting one, beating the best. The Eels have won 4 of their last 6 games against the Panthers, which is the best record against the Premiers in this period. So they're not going to be scared taking on a Panthers team, I reckon, which they're thinking at the moment, might be just going.
No, well, mate, they'll definitely take some confidence, and I reckon they'll cut up some video of those last, what was it, four wins they've had out of the last 6 games against the Panthers. You definitely reflect on games where you've beaten teams and how you've beaten them. I know the roster slightly changes from year to year, but still, it's nice from a positive point of view to see some good clips of how you beat a team previously that, one of the best teams in the competitions. So I think the Eels will come into this game really confident and have plenty of belief, mate. I do think there is a few injury concerns. I've seen Moses on the news tonight struggling with a groin injury during that game. I mean, they're a tough injury. Any muscle injury is a challenge because there's always some uncertainty there around how hard you can go, whether you can play the 80 minutes, and it comes with some risk. So I think he said he's going to play at this stage. He'll be a huge influence on the outcome of that game. But they've definitely got plenty of confidence coming into this Panthers game on the back of beating them 4 out of the last 6 times. I'm going to take the Eels, mate, with 7.5 start.
Righto.
$1.90.
Yeah, beautiful, mate. Nice way to go.
Yeah, I still think the Panthers can get it at home, get it done. I still think it's going to be a tight game, but Panthers got 7.5 start and the Palmer Bet app, $1.90.
Beautiful, mate. Well, I'm actually going to stick with the Panthers just head to head. All right. I just think they're going to bounce back. They're not going to want to lose again. And I think that at home they'll kick off their season round 2, their first win of the year. Righto, Canberra Raiders taking on the West Tigers. Of course, the Tigers had the bye last week. Saturday, 3 p.m. at GIO Stadium. Head to head, the Raiders at $1.44, Tigers at $2.80. At the line, the Raiders -7.5 at $1.89. Tigers +7.5 at $1.91. Key talking points here. For the Raiders, had a huge win against your Knights, Gids, and they've beaten the Tigers 6 out of the last 7 times they've played them. This is a new era for the Tigers, though, having a bye in round 1. All right, under Benji. This is going to be pretty exciting. And Benji Marshall, he's looking to continue his Canberra form because as a player, he won 11 from 12 at GIO Stadium in his career. So that is not a bad stat, Gids. Can that transcend to the playing group, and can they get a bit of Benji magic, and can they upset the Raiders, who I thought were good last week? We kind of had them written off a little bit, but the battle for Palmer Bet, they got the job done.
They got the job done, and they deserved it. They scrapped harder, and they completed well. Yep, new era at the Tigers with Benji Marshall, head coach, Johnny Morris back there, assistant coach, and Chris Hyington too. Yeah, so those guys played a big role in the history of the Tigers. So whether the players look up and believe in the coach and staff, I hope they do because they're all good fellas. I thought Jamal Fogarty's kicking game last week for the Raiders was huge. Every time I was sitting in the grandstand and he had a huge kick on him and a lot of hang time, and it gave the Raiders great field position as far as where they were starting the night sets defensively. So I think that played a really big part there last week. Justin Olam, new recruit for the West Tigers too, from the Melbourne Storm. Interesting to see how he goes. Great defender, aggressive in his defence and the way he carries the ball. So interesting to see how he goes at a new club. I'm going to stick with the Raiders 1-12 and some decent value there. 1-12, $2.80.
Right, I'm sticking with the Raiders too, kids, for what it's worth. I just like the way they got a good pack, I reckon. Like
they do.
They just play hard, tough footy. They're not flashy or anything like that, but they just get the job done. Righto, Cowboys taking on the Knights Saturday, 5:30 p.m. at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. You're flying up first class. You're going to be kicking the Eels back. Head to head, the Cowboys $1.43. Knights at $2.85, kids. At the line, the Cowboys minus $7.5, $1.89. Knights plus $7.5, $1.91. Key talking points here, all thanks to Palmerbet. They're the ladder leaders, the Cowboys. They face the Knights. They're looking to go 2-0 for the first time since 2017. So this could really pump their season up. For the Knights, well, they've got to bounce back from a really disappointing round one loss to Canberra, Gids. Not a happy hunting ground, generally, up north for you boys.
No, it hasn't been a happy hunting ground up to Townsville at the old stadium, and then even the most recent new stadium at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. Tom Jenkins makes his Newcastle Knights debut, comes from the Panthers on the wing, and Ari Tuali is out this week with a quad strain. And yeah, as I say, the Knights, they need to start with their completions, make sure they're completing the majority of their sets, so they stay in the game, they're in the arm wrestle, and put a bit of pressure on the Cowboys to see if they can maintain that. As I said, the Knights, there was 3 to 4 tries scored off the last plays of the Canberra Raiders. Now, that's not quite good enough. You can't tell me the Canberra Raiders, it was their catching techniques or they were putting the ball on a dime to be able to compete for those last plays. There was some competitiveness that the Raiders were more aggressive in, I think, and they made their own luck. So Knights, bit of a reality check after plenty of pats on the back at the back end of last year, but I know they're really focused this week on getting up to Townsville and, for a start, minimising those errors, getting the completions up. Time to turn it around up in North Queensland.
Sticking with the Knights,
Sticking with the Knights. Again, I've liked what the Palmerbet boys have put together here as just far as the line. The Knights have got 7.5 start. Paying $1.90, and I'll take that one.
Yeah, nice, mate. I'm just going head to head. Cowboys will get the job done. I hate to say, kids, but there's going to be a little bit of pressure come on your Knights boys after the weekend. Hey, Melbourne Storm taking on the Warriors Saturday night, 7:35 at AAMI Park. Head to head, the Storm $1.40. Warriors $2.95. At the line, Storm minus $7.5, $1.82. Warriors plus $7.5, $1.99. Key talking points here, all thanks to Palmerbet. Well, for the Storm, didn't get any better last week, knocking off the Premiers. They made a statement. It was a low-scoring affair, a scrappy affair.
Kept them to 0 too, mate.
Kept them to 0. Defensively, they're enormous. Pappenhausen's better for the run. Some positive signs. And Munster comes back in this week, which is huge.
No, I think he's still out, mate.
He's still out.
I think, right. I think they were hoping to get him in this week, but I think he's still ruled out. I just looked at the team list and he hasn't been named in the 22 at this stage. Right. I heard him interviewed on I think it was one of the news programs or might have been on one of the early morning. Has he slipped in the shower? Is that legit?
Oh, I think he beats to his own drum, doesn't he?
It's another slip in the shower, I believe. He's very genuine the way he communicated that via the media, but I don't know if it was a previous injury. But it was definitely
just a bit of tongue in cheek, maybe that just
No. He was. It was with the Fox crew, I think it was before the game, and there was I believe it was a previous injury, and he slipped in the shower. I don't think it was in Fiji when they played the Knights in the trial game over there. So,
wow,
mate, these showers they're gonna have to get some non-slip surfaces.
Maybe start wearing some wetsuit shoes or boots into the showers or something. Maybe just get a bit of grip. And the Warriors,
but as I say,
the Warriors, mate, they'd be disappointed last week. And I actually reckon, I'm tipping the Storm, but I actually reckon this is the game that I reckon it wouldn't surprise me if the Warriors come out with a bit of steely blood in their system and they're fired up.
Well, I think the Knights and the Warriors had both teams had a lot of expectation on them, and the way they finished last year, and the way they competed, got the momentum, got the real support of their hometown, their home fans, and it was pretty underwhelming for both the Knights at home and the Warriors at home, unfortunately for both those clubs. So I think they'll have a real good look at themselves in the mirror, reflect on what the video and where they went wrong, and they'll come out pretty firing this week. Still think it's going to be a tough one against the Storm in Amy Park. The way the Storm defended last week and won it without Cam Munster, I think they'll go on to do it again. Yep, 40, I think it's 14 straight wins versus the Warriors they've had at this stage.
That's unbelievable. That is a fair stat, to be honest, Gids.
I'm actually going. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go Melbourne 13 plus. Only because I was looking for a bit more value.
Gee whiz, that is big. And you're right, 14-game win streak against the Warriors. That is massive.
Huge.
That is huge. Righto, Sunday football. Let's go. The Manly Seagulls take on the Sydney Roosters. This is nearly match of the round for mine. Both these Vegas teams, who perform very, very well. So both undefeated. And this is at 4:05, 4 Points Park. Head-to-head, Manly 204. Roosters $1.78. At the line, the Seagulls plus $1.5, $1.90. Roosters minus $1.5 at $1.90. Key talking points here for Manly. They come home from Vegas with a win, but they're looking to go 2-0 for the first, or to start the season for the first time since 2013. That blew me away, to be honest. Roosters, who are also winners in Vegas, they look to continue their good form in the Northern Beaches, winning 3 of their last 4 games at Manly. And anytime try scorer tip, Seagulls fullback Tom Trbojevic. Turbo has 6 tries from his last 6 games against the Roosters. While for the Chooks, swinger Daniel Tupou has 12 tries from his last 13 games against the Seagulls. Good stats and might feature in my Matty's must-have later on, Gids.
Oh, nice little hint there, mate. What's coming a bit later? Well, mate, huge game. I think this is the game around, Matty. I'll certainly be saddling up for this one Sunday afternoon at home. Might be just cracking a cold one after a little bit of hard work in the yard, I'd say, mate.
Little steel lager.
Yeah, but mate, I thought Teddy was great. That game in Vegas. Obviously, put a lot of hard work and effort in. I've seen him doing a lot of speed work on his game over the off season. Thought he was great in that Vegas game. Saab from the wing, he's out for the Eagles. He's a big loss. Done his hemi in that Vegas game. Jared Hargraves is back. His 299th game in the NRL, and obviously Spencer Linu is out for 8 weeks for his comments on the field, mate, unfortunately, for the game and for him. But, yeah, huge game. Looking forward to this one. I think it's a really tough game. It's a hard one for me to pick. I remember the Eagles got off to a pretty good start at home last year, and then they went downhill pretty quick. Their home record was pretty average in the end, but I thought their first few games at home, big crowds again, and the local fans certainly get behind the Manly Seagulls when they're at 4 Palms Stadium. I'm going to go with the outsider here, man. I'm going to go Eagles head-to-head, $2, just over $2 head-to-head. I still think with the form they played in Vegas, coming back home at 4 Palms Park, I think they can get it done in front of a probably sold-out crowd.
I'm against you here, mate. I reckon the Roosters are I just reckon they're one of the better bets of the weekend. When I seen the odds come up, I think they were about $1.85 when markets first went up, and I just thought, I reckon that's a luxury because I reckon they're the real deal, the Chooks. So I reckon they're going to go deep this year.
Mate, everyone's talking about it going deep last year. They were struggling to make the 8.
Not me, mate. I'm just on them this year.
Top 4 team last year.
I'm on them this year, big fella. We're not going to look back.
Anyway.
We can't look back, me and you, because we were no good.
No. Let's not look back, mate. Let's look forward. Let's stay in the moment, mate. Let's stay in the moment with these two.
Mate, this is Coach Gids.
Mate,
this is
anytime try scorers.
Yep.
Teddy, $2.70. Daniel Tupou, $2.07. And Tommy Turbo, $2.70. Teddy's $2.55, sorry.
So you're just going those 3 to just score a try.
Mate, they've all got great odds. Tommy Turbo, great odds against the Roosters. Daniel Tupou has scored 12 from his last 13 games against the Eagles. He's at $2.07. And I thought Teddy, after he played there in Vegas, he's back. He's back, baby.
Love it, mate. I love it. Righto. Other Sunday night game. It's the Dolphins taking on the Dragons. 6:15 at KO Stadium head-to-head. Dolphins $1.89. Dragons $1.90. The market's tight. at the line. The Dolphins plus 0.5, $1.84. Dragons minus 0.5, $1.97. Key talking points here. The Dolphins, they're back at home. They were thrashed at Suncorp in round one. Dragons, another week, another Queensland game. The Dragons head back north after their win against the Titans. And looking to open on the roll. The Dragons are looking to win 2 straight to open the season for the first time since 2018, which was the last time they made the finals, Gids. Are you sticking fat with the Dragons here, mate?
Yeah, I think I am sticking fat. I think it's pretty decent odds, mate, for Dragons with the line. They're only minus 0.5 start, and they're paying currently $1.97. So, or you can look for a bit more value with Dragons 1 to 12, $3, just over $3. It takes a bit more risk, that one, but I think the line's pretty attractive at the moment. Only giving away half a point start and almost double the money there. So I do like Tyrone Sloan. I thought he played really well last week. And Zach Lomax. Also, what sort of swayed me with the Dragons there last week, that Moses Suli, I thought he was strong in the trial games, and he's always been big and athletic, but I think he wants to make a difference now, and that's always dangerous for the opposition.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Well, I'm going to go the Dolphins. I stuck with them last week. They let me down, but I'm going to go again this week and just hope that, like they're back on their actual home deck at KO Stadium.
They've lost a couple of blokes, I think, too. They've been concussion, maybe another injury. I'm not
confident.
Optimism about them this year.
I'm not jumping out of my skin going, let's load up. But I'll stick fat. I'll give them another couple of weeks and see where we go. Now, listen, mate, I want you to give me your pick 8 for the weekend, mate.
Mate, my pick 8, I'm going the Broncos, the Sharks, Panthers, just Raiders, Mighty Knights.
Hang on, so Raiders, yep. You're going with the Knights. There's some value, yep.
Going with the Knights. Storm at home, Eagles at home, and the Dragons to wrap up the round away versus the Dolphins.
Righto, mate. That is to combine all 8. That is 54.65 for you, Gids. That is enormous. That is enormous. I'm actually going, so I am going big fella for what it's worth, and I started off pretty ordinary, but I'm sticking with the Broncos, Sharks, Panthers, Raiders, Cowboys, Storm, all the home teams to start. Then I go to the Roosters and the Dolphins. So I've only got one away team, and that's going to be $26.29 on Palmerbet. Which I reckon is value in itself as well, Gids. So either way, we're due. We didn't start the season with a bang or anything, but we are ready to rock and roll. Hopefully this week, mate. Now, what about the Gids get on? This is where the people wait for.
Get on this week. I'm going to go for a multi, mate, in the Sharks versus the Bulldogs game. I'm going to go Sharks for 13+. I thought the resilience and the grit they showed last week, they'll come back to Australia with a stack of confidence and belief into their first home game. So I think they'll defend well again. And I'm going to go Sharks, 13+, because the Dogs were pretty poor last week defensively. And I'm going to go Jesse Remy, anytime try scorer, just under $5 on the Palmerbet up.
Love it, Gids. The Gids get on. And just remembering, you finished the season with a huge bang last year. Your back half of last year was unbelievable. So, people don't take this lightly. We are fair when we say.
No, I'm
just
serious.
A little wager. Don't go silly. Gamble responsibly. That's the key message. Well, Matty's must-have this week, mate. I'm going with the Chooks. I'm going with the Roosters to get the job done against Manly. And I reckon they're going to get the job done by 13+ Gids. All right, so that is whacking.
What's that at?
That is whacking some huge value in, mate. I think it's about $3.90. $3.90. And I'm going your man Tupu to score anytime try scorer, and James Tedesco anytime try scorer.
Oh my God, this is going to be huge.
No, it's actually
is going to be huge.
No, it's only it's $10.87. It's $10.87. So. No, it's only a little three little leg multi. So Tedesco's $2.55, Tupu's $2.05.
Tupu's short.
It might be $2.90 for the 13+. It's either $2.90 or $3.90.
No. I've got $3.90 on. I've got the Palmerbet up live and running live every episode.
Matty's must have.
Matty's must have.
Come on, Chookies, don't let me
What a
down.
catchy line.
Self-made catchy line too. Hey, kids, download the Palmer Bet app. We have a lot of fun. We're copying a little bit of stick from our tips last week. Maybe that's all right. It's only ill. It's a long year, and we will bounce back. And we will do it in a very, very big way, big fella. You need your Newcastle Knights. You've had the coach's hat on tonight, to be honest. It's like you've been down to training and just giving the boys a little bit of a rev up to fire them up, because they've got a big trip up north, mate. And it is a massive game for your club, isn't it?
Mate, it's a big trip. It's a couple of flights. We're always Newcastle to Brisbane, then to Townsville. So it's never an easy trip. Normally head up 2 days before a game, but it makes it more rewarding if you can get it knocked over. That's for sure. But Cowboys won't be easy. They've had a good win there last week against the Dolphins. They'll be confident going back into their first home game. So big match for the Knights, that one.
Always a concern when you don't have a direct flight from Newcastle to Townsville, mate. What's going on there? Surely you got a bit of pull there, kids.
Well, new flight, mate. Leg to Proserpine, actually. Hamilton, just off Hamilton Island.
Oh, mate,
that's as close as we get.
You've got a little weekender up there, I reckon, kids. Nice little second house up there, I reckon. Hey, kids, always a pleasure, mate. Looking forward to round 2 action in the NRL. Download the Palmer Bet app, get involved, and as we say, gamble responsibly, and always think about what you're really gambling with, kids. We'll see you next week, big fella.
Mate, Matty, see you next week. How good was it to see the Palmer Bet boys out the front of the stadium at McDonald Jones last week? And then on the field, the try celebration. We had an amazing competition on the field at halftime of the Raiders and Knights game. It was sensational. Mate, the winning try celebration was amazing. These 3 young blokes, backflips.
What do they do? Backflips?
Mate, backflips. It kept building. Little bit of ball playing. I passed them the footy under the post. They'd done a bit of a dance and then into a backflip. It was sensational.
And they walked away with a couple of grand cash, kids.
A couple of grand. Yeah. They put a bit of time, plenty of effort in it. It was a bit of risk as well, but it was cool. I think it was the delivery, mate, to get them under the post.
Mate. You've always been just a nice little deliverer.
Distributor.
Yeah. Just get in there and make it happen.
Matty. Great week. Looking for the footy again, mate, this weekend for sure.
It's going to be sensational, mate. And the team at Palmer Bet, they do a wonderful job. And that was the Raiders and the Knights, both sponsored by, of course, Palmer Bet. And, it's the Raiders who go away getting the job done with their major sponsors. They might have got one of those big novelty checks too off the team at Palmer Bet just for getting the job done. Gids, we'll talk next week, buddy.
For sure, Matty. Thanks very much. All the best, everyone.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.